Hello there, it's me, Egil Thorsson, warrior, runecaster, all kinds of things. And I have here my pal,
Bragi Magnarsson, yes, the son of Magnar. And I'm a Viking, as you can tell by the clothes we wear.
Good heavens.
And we do love Viking clothes. Where did you get these from?
Yeah.
Now, we're here today for something special again. And it is episode 2 of hashtag AskEgilAnything. Yes, he's shudering at the very thought of this episode being recorded.
Yeah, just remember, it is a family show.
We are a family show. You can ask anything you like, but we're all sensitive questions. So, I have a list of questions here. Very professional. I've got a bit of paper.
Well, why not?
I'm falling out with the printer again, Egil.
You haven't smashed it up there yet.
No, we are going to smash it up one day. It's not when we get one. So, we've got the first question. Now, these are from the last few weeks, and this comes from Shara Beans.
Hi, Shara.
Is it true that the Vikings cover their shields with canvas and leather?
This has been a hot potato for a number of years. I don't know if you remember in Regia.
I do.
There was yay and nay. I think more likely they, if you could afford it, yes, because it makes the shield last longer. Haven't found any particular archaeological evidence with it being organic material. The only chance we'd get is if you have what's called an anaerobic society, which is very dark, almost black. And what it is, the microbes in there feed off the microbes that destroy organic material. We found that, especially in York, where a lot of organic material survives, which normally wouldn't. So I'm sort of avoiding the question. I would assume they did. But then again, maybe they didn't.
Well,
I think
from a personal point of view, yes, they probably did.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's down to the fact of the individual and the situation they was in. Let's say there you were, there's old Olaf, he's on the farm, he's making a shield, and he's got a bit of linen, and he's got a bit of hessian, or he's got a bit of leather. Now, would you decide to make some glue out of some milk using some sour ale and some ash, and would you cover a shield with a bit of material? I think he probably would. But I also think that some people would choose not to. I'd
say the safest thing is the still out. The verdict is still out.
I think the verdict's still out. From a modern perspective of a reenactment, if we grab a shield now...
Well,
luckily we've got one close to hand.
Yeah.
Pretty much every these shields. Now, in a modern shield, we have covered this up. So underneath, you'll see on the back is the plywood.
Which they didn't have.
Of course. But on the front, we either got 3 layers. And this will be probably a layer of nice linen. And then there was 2 layers of bonded hessian.
Oh, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that they put something on it. But, yeah. Next thing you know, we go from that to fantasy.
And Shara Beans continues, and we kind of answered the next question. If so, was it on both sides?
I know where you're coming from, because there is an illustration of a Saxon. He's got a shield there, and then at the back is painted. So I think it's on a tapestry or a manuscript.
Probably it'd be a tapestry, or I'd assume.
But if it's portrayed in that period, it's more than likely a true thing, because they have spoken about painted boards in the Sagas. So I know the image. I've seen it. That's how we learnt about the shield fixing.
Yes.
Which I have one.
Well, we have one downstairs as well.
But there's sort of a dragony design on it, and yes, I think that's possibly it. Again, some people are more into ornamentation, others are not.
Well, let's just take the shield. You've got 2, situations with a shield. You can have one shield for fighting, yes, but you may have another shield which is purely put on your wall and decorated very highly. But let's say, there you were, sitting in your longhouse, and the call's been made to go to fight. You're going to grab whatever shield you got at hand. So whether that be the nice painted decorated shield hanging from your nice posh wall, or whether that would be your standard fighting shield.
To be honest, if you've got any rank at all, one thing we have learned is bling.
Yes.
You know, you've got your necklaces, you've got the finest weapons you can afford. So yeah, I think, you know, it holds water that they paint both sides.
Well, let's just, before we finish talking about shields, would the average man have a shield?
Have something. It may even be wicker.
Yes.
Which of course hasn't survived. And it's always the upper echelons that are promoted. We know very little about the everyday. Well, we've learned a lot since Jorvik and things like that, but mostly it's about the noble and moneyed classes.
Well, Charles Bean continues with the last point, the last question, and says, I've seen examples of painted shields with canvas glued to the wood, wondering if that is accurate.
From a reenactor's point of view, and Bragi touched on it, you put cloth on it to hide the fact you're using plywood.
Well, no, fundamentally from a reenactor's point of view, yes, you do want to hide the plywood to a degree. Although you can fake the plywood, you can very carefully score lines for your planking, but you do it so that your shield
Got a bit more woof to
is
it.
going to last a long time and not get damaged. So that's why they're covered up so heavily.
Depends who you're fighting.
So,
But I'm sure. I mean, we've got no archaeological evidence other than that one picture, but it doesn't seem too far-fetched.
what do you guys think, and what do you guys know at home?
Have you got any proof about it?
Have you got any thoughts on the shield?
Okay.
And at some point, we will demonstrate various different sizes of shields as well in the future. So, the next question comes from one of our great admins on the channel and a very good friend, and it's our friend Cheetah.
Oh, hi. How you
Hello,
doing?
Cheetah.
Nice one, Cheetah.
Was hail to you, my friend. Now, a question here for the infamous Egil to be. How long have you been interested in the Vikings?
I can tell you exactly. When I was at school, I was a nasty little boy.
Bad Egil.
Yeah, putting it politely. And I got bored with life, and I was in the classroom, they were doing history. And I literally had a man there, and I was punching his head. The fact that the teacher carried on shows
Just
you.
demonstrate my head, look. Things like that.
I was doing that.
Wake it up, Egil!
And the magic phrase, we're actually doing that, and said, and they attacked priests, and I literally dropped, and I was focused, and I was hooked from that moment on. I've found them, as I've gone through the years, fascinating. The irony is, I did archaeology and history at York, but I missed out the Vikings. That was the one year. Yeah, there was the 1 year they didn't do it. I did Normans, I did early Christian and late Roman Empire, but I missed out on the Vikings. But when I left, like all students, I was broke, still am.
Big change.
It's only 30 years later. And there was the Viking reenactment group, and I got into it there again. And it's been, not just financially, but it's been rewarding to me in here. I learned a lot, and I'm still learning. Like all academics, I don't always get it right, and I'm willing to admit that. But I just find it a fascinating period. The more I find out about it, the better it seems.
Oh yeah, and you're always learning, aren't you?
Yeah, well, you never learn.
And have you learned more things since you've been on the channel?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, with the research I've done. The one thing, I don't know if you find it, the more you research, the more you realise the little you know.
Of course so, yes. I mean, some days you think you know a lot, but then you read a book and you actually realise you know hardly anything about this period. And we just touched on a fragment of it.
Well, also another thing I think people don't realise is how political history and archaeology is. And to emphasise this, there was a programme digging up the past with Alice Roberts.
Yes.
And she was looking at the Roman Empire from 1960 to the present day. Started off with a hero of mine, Sir Mortimer Wheeler, and it was all about empire building, you know, overcoming the primitive Britons. And then now we come to Romans, well, they sort of blended in, and it's just how it changes each generation. And the history today, if you see a program on the 60s, let me tell you, it's nothing like it was when I was in the 60s. But it's the image portrayed. Yeah, all right. I had longer hair and flares, and that was more 70s. But hippies lived in tents in Wales.
I've been wearing flares since the 90s.
Yeah, well, I'm a bit older than you.
I know that.
But anyway, it's how people perceive history through time. But, you know,
Well,
it's healthy for debate.
Let's jump ahead.
Yeah.
We don't know how long we got. So we've got
That's
a question
really cool.
here from Culpable Justice.
Hi.
Hello and welcome to the channel. They're from India, I believe.
Ah, hi.
And they've asked you, what is your age?
I'm 64 years young.
64. We've
Yeah.
heard that first.
Yeah, I'm getting old.
Of course, in 2020, we might do the hashtag
Pension.
AskBragi, and then you might find out how old I am. Until then, it's a mystery.
I can't wait till 2020, November the 7th, because that's when I become a pensioner. Woof!
Oh, yes. You could be the rising pension YouTuber army here.
I prefer to call myself a Grey Panther.
Do you see yourself as old?
Nah.
No, I don't. Now, a question here, not from Culpable Justice, is one I put in. And it says, have you been a hippie in the past?
Ah, now, this is one thing, it shows you how I was brought up. People ask me, what were you? Were you a hippie? Were you a rocker?
A mod?
Or a mod? My answer, I'm afraid, and I hate to say this, I was never allowed to be anything like that. I was under the thumb with my father. I was actually a carbon copy of my dear departed pa. I had a suit exactly like his. I had a moustache exactly like his. In fact, I look very much like him now.
I suppose I didn't call you Junior.
Used to call me Animal, but that's another story.
That's another story.
But
I know somebody called Animal.
oh yeah,
He's a Hell's Angel.
yeah.
Well, he might be an outlaw, I forget now. Oh dear, that's a controversial.
Yeah. But anyway, as I say, later on, my dad died in '74. I don't know whether I'd be a hippie. I looked pretty much like I do now. I had cheesecloth shirts. One time I had platform shoes, murderous things.
What shirts did he have?
Cheesecloth.
Cheesecloth.
Yeah.
I got an idea of shirts made out of cheese.
Oh,
Was it edible?
no.
I've heard about edible underwear,
Did
but
not,
never edible
did not
shirts.
live in the sun, especially the summer of '76. You have Grey Panthers out there know what I'm talking about.
Woof woof.
Yeah, it was hotter than it was.
76, yes. Well, we're going to continue on to the next question, onto a bit of a slightly controversial question on the channel, but I decided to put it in
Go on.
just so that I could do my impression from the young ones. So we had a man, I assume it's a man, called Connor Shaffy,
Yeah.
and they've asked,
Hi,
how
Connor.
many seeds does it take to grow a weed?
I'm handing you over to this one as I have nothing to do with
Well,
it.
first of all, you
Yeah.
plant the seed, and then you sow the seed, and then you harvest the seed.
And then,
That's it.
yeah. Can I just point out to our people here in England, it's illegal.
Yes. 420.
Yeah. Please don't do it. It's all right knowing it, but don't do it.
Yes, there's probably somebody from Canada, but it's not illegal anymore. Anyway, moving swiftly on to a question from Martin Belfast.
Hi, Martin.
He's one of the very good friends from Northern Ireland,
Uh-huh.
from the Magnus Barelegs Vikings. So hello to you guys.
Yo.
Was hail. Hope you're having some decent events, some battle practices.
Yeah, go for it.
How common was bows used in the Viking Age battles?
That is something, I mean, I would imagine they are used quite a lot, but when we were in the reenactment group, possibly because they didn't want everyone to be an archer, they were told it was for exclusive people only. But I mean, a bow is common sense. You can't afford a sword, an axe, you don't want to get too close. You go sniping around with a bow and arrow. I think they're more common than they're let on. There's no law. In fact, Danish law exists for when the Vikings went out a Viking. A man had to have a deer
Jerkin.
with metal discs, 60 arrows, a bow, or an axe. And that's in Gwyn Jones, the Vikings.
Oh, I never heard of that. Or if I have, I've forgotten.
So I think they're more common than people let on. People seem to think bows come into their own in Agincourt. No, we've actually got examples of a Neolithic flat bow which is more powerful.
Well, what's older, the bow or the spear?
Well, I would
think that's very debatable.
I would imagine the spear is, because
Yes.
the earliest example of a bow we've got is a flat bow from the Neolithic period, but it's been calculated it's more powerful than the long bow.
Well, yes, you could see that. Flat bows have a lot of energy in them.
But to be honest, if I was in a battle, I'd rather have a bow, because you could kill people 100 yards away.
Well, let's face it, if you've got a bow, you're not in the front line, are you?
Or you could snipe him.
But that's also quite interesting how I was reading how at the beginning of the battle, the Vikings would always throw a spear over the enemy.
Now you belong to Odin.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was all that about then, Egil?
Well, Odin had the spear, Gulminir.
Yes.
That you threw it, came back again. He's the god of war.
Yes.
So you're saying, you lot over there are a sacrifice to our god Odin. See in Valhalla.
So they're sacrificing a spear to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that's very fascinating, that.
Well, also, we talk about bows. There is a mention in the saga, the Lay of Rig. And he's talking about the classes of humanity. You've got the peasant, the slave, you've got the landowner, and then you've got the lord who is plaiting a bowstring. And I think that's where the reenactment group we were with decided that it was for aristocrats only. But I don't think it was.
No, yeah, that don't make sense to me.
But anyway.
If he was a witch, you know, he had a lot of money, would you want a sword or a bow?
Both.
Oh, both, granted, but you want just you prefer a decent sword, surely.
Well, also think of it.
What says Rolf more?
But if you're thinking about going hunting wild boar,
Yeah.
well, you want a spear or a bow and arrow?
Well, both.
Yeah.
This was an interesting point put to us by Martin Belfast on about spears and hunting boar. And although I've not got the question written down, I can remember what he basically said. He said that what happened, is it true that people would sit down and they'll get the wing of the spears and put the wing against the feet and then wait for the boar to come and charge him?
Now,
Is that true?
I don't know about that, but later on there are laws governing spear shafts for boars. They had to be checked, and the spear shafts start narrow and go wider. Wild boars apparently get off on pain. If you stab an ordinary creature, it'll go eek and run away. Not a wild boar, it'll run up your spear point.
Yes.
And that's why you've got the bar
Wings.
across. And also lots of people with very heavy swords and things. Wild boars are extremely dangerous to hunt. Even with a rifle, you've got to be careful.
Right, well, I was thinking about this. If there you were lying down on the ground, you're back against a tree.
You're going to
Now,
be dead.
First of all, you're kind of wanting or waiting for that boar to attack you straight ahead. That boar might decide to go attack you on the side, where
Well, there could be more than one.
yeah. So to me, it doesn't really make sense. Well, you want the last place you want to be with a boar is on the ground,
You want to be on a horse.
or in a group of men.
Even when they're shooting them today with rifles, they're on a high sort of trestle. And you've got to make sure you've got them. I mean, a lot of, especially in Germany, when they go hunting, they've got a heavy bore pistol. So that if it's wounded and it's in a bush, you go up and you put one in like that. Because you can't risk... These things will tear you apart. Those tusks will slash you.
Oh yes, they are lethal. You can see this in Texas. You know, Texas has got lots of boars in Texas.
Got them in Kent now.
You know.
But they are delicious.
Oh, another thing I read the other day is that they now got wolves back in Denmark.
Oh yeah.
For the first time ever in years and years.
They have been wanting to reintroduce wolves into Scotland.
Have they not done that already?
I don't know, but they have in certain parts of America, much to the chagrin of some of the farmers. But the point is, you fence them in. The problem is, if you introduce a predator, it's going to take domestic stock because it's available and it's passive. You know, and there's a lot. You know, so they should have thought it through. But the thing is, if you knock out a predator, you're knocking out everything. Where they take the old and the sick, these then perpetuate, and it weakens the strain of the animal. But they are beautiful creatures. They were going to introduce them into Scotland. They're massive, great things, some of them. But yeah, they were wandering around England till about 1700s, I believe.
Well, we've got some more questions. Let's just try to get these done. So I'm not sure how long we've been filming for.
About 3 feet.
Very good. An easy one: fried egg or boiled egg?
Fried egg or boiled? I like a fried egg. My mum used to do a thing called the one-eyed pirate.
Yeah.
Slice of bread, cut the centre out, put it in a frying pan, put an egg
you did
in
it wrong.
and then flip it over.
You got to put water on the bread first. If you don't do that, then the egg will run underneath your bread.
Now, you know,
you put your water on your bread once you made the circle, so it dampens and weights the bread down.
Do you know, that is the problem I've been having, so now you've solved that. Thank you. Whoever sent that in?
No, that wasn't. That was me. I wrote that one.
Oh, well. Anyway, yeah. One-eyed pirate.
I know you like bacon and food.
It's very popular in the war.
Another one, quick fire question. Fried or grilled bacon?
I usually fry it because my grill isn't that great, but it's healthier to grill it and not have too much bacon too often. I go about once a week, and that's due to this chap here.
Well, you like to feed you know, you put a lot of effort walking here.
Well,
you know, hospitality as a Viking is everything. So when you have a friend come round, you sort them out with nice drinks, a bit of food, a bit of company, nice chair.
Otherwise they name the famous whiskey after me, famous grouse.
White or brown? Bread.
Brown. Every time brown is more tasty. I like soda bread. I like bread full stop. But
you have a bread maker, don't you?
Yeah, these are them.
Yeah. I thought you actually got a bread maker.
I make bread. When I make bread the old way.
Lynn's got a bread maker. Last question. 3 things you would take to a desert island. And make it quick because we haven't got lots long on the video.
Okay. A knife. Definite.
Yes.
Means of making fire. And hopefully, what else would I take? A nice woman who loves me. Oh,
yeah. I was thinking that a woman would be a good choice for the last one. And there you go. So that's episode 2 of Ask Egil Anything. We don't need that no more.
Anymore.
Until next week. And if you've got any questions, you know what to do. Leave it with a #EgilAnything and then leave your question. And we'll look the film on as soon as we can and get episode 3 out of the way.
And if they like that, they can always subscribe on the bell there.
Oh yes, if you're new to the channel, then welcome. Great to see you here. Yeah. I'm Bragi. And
there you go.
And we're Vikings. And please subscribe.
Yeah.
But don't forget, if you do subscribe, then click on the notification bell. By doing that, you'll be notified by YouTube, hopefully, when the system works, when we publish, when we premiere, and occasionally when we live stream, which we're hoping to do a bit more of, aren't we, Egil?
Certainly are.
Alright, it's goodbye from me.
And it's bye from me.
And just pause.